Blessings, everybody. Welcome to the channel. I'm Dane, your host. I hope you're doing well wherever you may find yourselves. Today's episode is an interesting one because there's some history here. Today's video was essentially the first video I had hoped to do when I started this channel a while ago. And then I kept putting it off. And the inspiration for this video came from a conversation that I had with a group of friends a long time ago. This is probably right before COVID, so it's been a while. We're just sitting around talking about the band Queen, and someone said that there's two queens. There's a good queen and bad queen, and then the conversation went from there. Explaining, discussing, arguing, that kind of thing. And that got me thinking. I said, well, I've always felt that way myself, but I've never expressed it verbally. And so I wrote down on a sheet of paper the songs that I thought were Queen's worst, 12 to 15 of them, and then the same thing for Queen's best of the best songs, 12 to 15. And then I posted what I had written on a sheet of loose leaf, and I took a photograph of it and posted it on Facebook. I'm not on Facebook anymore, haven't been for many years. And then people, chimed in, oh, dude, I love that song that you hate, that kind of thing. And, opinions galore, and rightfully so. So today, this video will have a follow-up. Today's video is the top 13 absolutely worst songs of Queen, just my opinion. And then the next video will be my top favorite Queen songs of all time, somewhere in between 25 to 40 Queen songs. I think it'd be 30, 35. All right, so let's start with number 13. A lot of you are going to go, you're kidding, you don't like the song? Well, it is what it is. It's the song You're My Best Friend. I used to like it, but it got old really quick and got overplayed, which usually doesn't happen for me. I could think maybe a handful of songs, less than 10, that I just don't play anymore, and this is one of them. Here's why, or partially why. Growing up in high school, I used to listen to the radio. Well, I used to listen to the radio all the time growing up, and then before bed, I'd listen to the radio for about an hour and a half, and then go to bed to get ready for school the next day. And on the radio stations, they had something called a dedication party hotline. Many of you, I'm sure, are familiar with this. Back in the 70s and 80s, for me, it was the 80s. And people would call in and dedicate a song to someone they care about. And this was usually there every night. And it was usually, the top 5 were the most requested. And so that's one of the reasons it got old. And then also, some of the radio station formats even did something called bed check. And it was weird. You'd call in and talk about, what's going on before bed, that kind of thing. That was kind of weird. And it kind of came back around to being the dedication thing. Or people ignored what the parameters were for bed check. And, hey, can I dedicate a song? Or I'd like to request a song for my friend. Will you play You're My Best Friend? And they would, relent and give in. So that's the main reason why this song has fallen out of favor with me. It's really a novelty song, I think, and the shine for me, at least for me, the shine is worn off. And finally, there's a part of the song that I've always hated, even when I used to listen to it and like it, and that's towards the end of the song when Mercury sings, "Oh, that is just so cringe worthy for me." I know some people love it. It makes part of the song wonderful, but to me, it's like when I'm watching a commercial and it's a Lindor chocolate or some sort of sweet or savory bit, and someone puts the chocolate in their mouth and they do this. It's so unrealistic. But that's neither here or there, really. So 13, You're My Best Friend. Number 12. This song musically is quite interesting. Has a cool bass line. Lyrics, however, are abysmal. Here are some of the lyrics. Steve walks warily down the street with his brim pulled way down low. Yes, that's right. Another one bites the dust. Some more of the lyrics are you ready? Or are you ready for this? Are you hanging on the edge of the seat? I would always, talk back to the radio when I heard this, and I would say, no, Freddie, I'm not hanging on the edge of my seat. That's how much I hate the song. I would do that. I really don't care for too many songs where the lyrics are speaking directly to you. For example, I can't remember what Steely Dan song it is where Donald Fagen chimes in, "You've got to admit it." And I used to turn to my dad and go, I don't have to admit Jack. I don't, I'm being silly here, but I just don't get the love that people have of the song. Yeah, the bass is great, but everything else is just horrible. The lyrics are horrible. And then part of the lyrics are bite the dust in the chorus and post-chorus, I guess. But some of it sounds like gibberish, or maybe some of that is gibberish. Mercury sounds like he's saying da-da-da-da, ba-da-da-ba-ba, and it's horrible. So I hate that part, I especially hate that part of the song. I'm not a big fan of gibberish in lyrics, so number 12, Another One Bites the Dust. Number 11, Bring Back That Leroy Brown. And of course, this is the Queen's answer to Jim Croce's song, Leroy Brown. Now, if you look at the album that this is on, my favorite Queen album, you have Brighton Rock, Killer Queen, Tenement Fuster, Flick of the Wrist, Lily of the Valley, Now I'm Here, In the Lap of the Gods, and all those songs, maybe even Stone Cold Crazy, blur into one another. There's no pause, there's no break. Even though it's not a prog rock concept album, it has that element of much. It has much in common. That is often an element of a prog rock album or a concept album that's prog rock. Dear Friends, Misfire, and then number 11, Bring Back That Leroy Brown. This totally breaks up the flow of the album. It ruins the continuity. It breaks up the genius, if you will, that makes this album my favorite. So I think this song would have been better if Freddie put this on a solo record. And you'll see this is a pattern with many of these songs in this Baker's Dozen, where not all of them, but some of them, I really think it would have been better had Freddie put it on a solo album. And I know what you're thinking. Yes, you would be right that, well then, a lot of people don't like Freddie's solo stuff, so they would not have heard it. So I get that. And of course, a lot of people like these songs. So there you have it. So number 11, Bring Back That Leroy Brown. Number 10 from the News of the World album, My Melancholy Blues. This sounds like and is pretty much a Smoky Bar lounge act type song. It fits. I can envision the cheesy movie stereotype of, the person on top of the piano, legs crossed, singing, and then they get spread out on top of, the piano, belly flat against the piano, and then taking the mic out of the thing and then looking directly at someone and, singing to that person. It's a very cliched thing you see in the movies, in those old movies, like from the 30s through and including maybe the 80s. Pops up once in a while. So it really doesn't go with the rest of the album. Again, this should have been, I think it would have been better if it was a solo album. And like Sheer Heart Attack, this breaks up a bit of the consistency of this album. All right. So that was number 10. Yes, My Melancholy Blues, number 10. Now, these next two songs are from the same album. And I may do a video about this topic, what I call the Mr. Roboto syndrome, where, your band is, in the peak of their career, and then they put out a stinker song that kind of jettisons said career. Think Soundgarden, Spoon Man, again, Mr. Roboto from Styx. And so these two back to back from the same album. So number 9 for me is Fat Bottom Girls. And right off the bat, I like the music, but I cannot stand the lyrics. So you have, I'm not going to read all this, but, as you know, I was just a skinny lad, never knew no good from bad. And then you got Big Fat Fanny, which is a cliche because of all those old-timer songs. Love these old-timer songs, from the 50s and 60s. Big Fat Fanny's going to be there too, Boney Maroney, Long Tall Sally, and all that. So it just, these stock character types I just don't like. You got Mercury singing Please, and I don't get why Fat Bottom Girls make the rock and world go round. I don't get that. Yeah, it's tongue-in-cheek and not meant to be taken seriously, but even then, when I first heard the song on the Jazz album, I was like, Is this a joke? You went from the greatness that is News of the World to this. And there's some good stuff on Jazz, but it's overall not a great album. So Fat Bottom Girls, just not my cup of tea. And there are days where I think this song is just absolutely, positively atrocious and laughable. Number 8 is Bicycle Race. Well, I don't think I like the music at all here. I certainly don't like the lyrics. And again, when I first heard this, I was like, really? Is this a joke? Bicycle, bicycle, bicycle. I want to ride my bicycle. You know, I want to ride my bike. I want to ride my bicycle. I want to ride it where I like. Sounds like Dr. Seuss. Again, maybe not meant to be taken seriously, but like my comic books, I don't like camp. I don't like, campiness. I like my songs to be serious. That's why I'm not the biggest Zappa fan. And then the lyrics are just unbelievably beyond atrocious. You say black, I say white. You say bark, I say bite. You say shark, I say hey man. Jaws was never my scene, and I don't like Star Wars. And then you say Rolls, I say Royce. You say God, give me a choice. I don't believe in Peter Pan, Frankenstein, or Superman. All I want to do is, you're right. That's funny. And then after that, bicycle, that funny part. Then it gets all smooth and suave and soft, ironically maybe. But either way, it still doesn't work. It's laughable. They go into the slow mode. Not slow mode, but they slow down and get all suave and seriously. So forget all your duties, oh yeah. Fat Bottom Girls reference to that. They'll be riding today. So look out for those beauties, oh yeah. And then on your marks, and then bicycle, and then it gets goofy again. So just, and then you get more goofy lyrics. You say smile, I say cheese. Cartier, I say please. I don't want to be a candidate for Vietnam or Watergate because all I want to do is bicycle. So yeah, I think this is very laughable. There's also, I missed a part. You say Coke, I say Kane. You say John, I say Wayne. It's just horrible writing. So, yeah, this is a horrible song in my estimation. I know some people love it, but, I don't like the song. I think it's laughable. So, number 8, Bicycle Race. Number 7, Radio Gaga. I like the music here. Most of it. A little bit of it's kind of bubbly and electronica, but I can't get past the Gaga and the Goo Goo stuff. I like the lyrics, someone out there loves you. That's beautiful, but overall, the song is just pretty bad. So, number 7, Radio Gaga. Number 6, Good Old Fashioned Lover Boy. Song is too bubbly. I don't do bubbly. Has a ragtime cabaret vaudeville feel to it. Yuck. Or show tunes or musical flair to it. Like it belongs on a soundtrack or a musical on the stage or movies. I'm not a big musical fan. I think the only musical I can say honestly I like is Grease, and that's it. So not my cup of tea. Next, in the same vein, I Want to Break Free. I like lyrics that are about freedom. I do, but I don't like the music here. The music is pretty bad. This should have been more of a Freddie Mercury solo song. It's not rockin'. It's not even a ballad really. In the sense that it is a slow song, but it's not. It's because it's camp and vaudeville and ragtime or show tuney or whatever it falls into. Just not. Again, not my cup of tea. It's kind of bubbly. Again, I don't do bubbly. It's very show tune like, as I said, if not downright show tune like. And again, I don't like that musical Broadway type flair stuff. It's just not my cup of tea. All right, number 4, and again in the same vein, this should have been a solo album. Very cabaret, vaudeville, show tune-ish, musical, the hands up. Kind of just doesn't work for me. Don't Stop Me Now. And that's all I'll say. Hate this song. Hate it, hate it, hate it. Could have been better perhaps on a solo record. Next, so we get into my top 3. Staying Power. This is a horrible song. Sometimes this is number 2, sometimes it's number 1, but for now it's number 3. This is a horrible song. This sounds like an R&B song that Michael Jackson could have did, and it would have been amazing from Michael Jackson, or dare I even say Lionel Richie. Even it would for me it just doesn't work as a Queen song. It doesn't work for Queen. I think it's downright atrocious. This one you knew it was coming. Hot Space again. Body Language. Not much disco I care for. In rock, maybe. I do like I Was Made for Loving You. Here it doesn't work. I don't even like the bass here. Or any of the music for that matter. When this album came out, it was so disappointing after The Wonderful News of the World. And the way that Freddie Mercury sings the song, you got a lot of shouting and kind of that talking/singing that's going on. Not real singing to me. I hate the song Body Language at number 2. Finally, from the jazz album, this song starts off kind of cool. It has a exotic Middle Eastern flair to it, kind of cool. So I'm talking about the song Mustafa. When I first heard this, I was like, okay, is this a joke too? On the jazz album, as I said. And so again, when I first heard, I was like, oh, I like the intro here. Again, very Middle Eastern. But then it switches to that cabaret, ragtime sound, vaudeville, fused with the Middle Eastern stuff in it. The combination just doesn't work. It's like putting a milk in a certain type of tea and the tea turns gray and undrinkable. It just doesn't work. And then you get some heavy guitars. So you go from exotic Middle Eastern to cabaret, vaudeville, ragtime to heavy rocking guitars. It's just too much. It's just too much going on. In the lyrics, in the phrasing of the said lyrics here are almost laughable to me. The way he says Mustafa, it just, oh my God, I don't know what Queen was thinking when they did the song. And again, like Don't Stop Me Now, and some of the other songs I mentioned, Mustafa perhaps would have been better as a solo song for Freddie. So, these are the worst 13 Queen songs in my estimation. Overall, when it comes to Queen, I like the rockin' stuff. I like the singer-songwriter piano stuff, some of it. But if it has, I'm just going to read these 7 or 8 things. If it has ragtime, cabaret, camp, pomp, lounge act, vaudeville, show tune / musical type stuff. And when I say cabaret, keep in mind that after Freddie passed away, 2 of the albums they found in Freddie's record collection were Tommy by The Who and Liza Minnelli's Cabaret. So there's that, Liza Minnelli, Freddie Mercury. Let me start over. There's that Freddie Mercury style Liza Minnelli stuff going on because of the ragtime cabaret stuff. Just not my cup of tea. My mom loved Liza Minnelli, and I had to sit through that when I was a kid. And if you like that, great, but it just isn't me. So, again, I like piano and singer-songwriter stuff, but when it has these type of genres, it's just not. I don't think there's much place for this in rock and roll, if you ask me. So anyway, these are my 13 worst songs of Queen, and next video will be much more positive. I will have my favorite Queen songs of all time. Thank you so much for watching. Take care. God bless. Bye now.